Act 1, The Fair. Tommy Reeves had been driving a yellow cab for 3 years, and in that time, he'd learned one thing: never get involved. Pick up the fare, drop off the fare, collect the money, and forget their faces. That was the job. But on the night of October 23rd, Tommy broke his own rule. It was nearly midnight when the call came through on his radio. Pick up at the Starlight Hotel on Wabash Avenue. Tommy pulled up to the curb, rainwater spraying from his tires. The Starlight wasn't the kind of place that attracted honest businessmen. It was where married men met their girlfriends, where deals too dirty for daylight got made over bootleg whiskey. The fare emerged from the lobby, a man in his 50s, expensive overcoat, fedora pulled low. He slid into the back seat without a word, and Tommy caught a glimpse of his face in the rearview mirror. Nervous eyes. Sweat on his brow despite the cool October air. "Where to?" Tommy asked. "Union Station," the man said, his voice tight. "And step on it." Tommy pulled into traffic. The man kept checking the side mirror, his fingers drumming against his knee. At a red light on State Street, those fingers went still. The man leaned forward. "Change of plans. Take me to the warehouse district. Near Goose Island." "That's gonna cost you extra," Tommy said. "Meter's already running for the station." The man pulled out a money clip, peeled off a 20. "Just drive." They rode in silence through the rain-slicked streets. The city's lights gave way to darker neighborhoods, factories and warehouses looming like tombstones. When they reached a deserted stretch near the river, the man told Tommy to stop. "Wait here," he said. 5 minutes. The man disappeared between two buildings, swallowed by shadows. Tommy sat with the engine idling, watching rain streak down his windshield. 5 minutes turned to 10. Then 15. That's when Tommy noticed it, a brown envelope on the back seat floor, partially hidden beneath where the man had been sitting. Tommy's first instinct was to leave it alone. But times were tough. The cab company had cut his hours, and his landlady was threatening eviction. Maybe there was a name inside. Maybe there was a reward. He reached back and grabbed the envelope. It wasn't sealed. Inside was cash, more cash than Tommy had seen in years. $100 bills, at least 50 of them. $5,000. His hands shook as he thumbed through it. $5,000. That was 2 years' salary. That was a fresh start. But Tommy Reeves wasn't a thief. His old man had been a cop before the bottle got him, and he drilled one thing into Tommy's head: a man's only as good as his word. 20 minutes passed. The fare wasn't coming back. Tommy made his decision. He'd return the money. First thing in the morning, he'd go back to the Starlight Hotel and track the man down. It was the right thing to do. Act 2, The Body. Tommy didn't sleep that night. The envelope sat on his kitchen table like a coiled snake. Every time he looked at it, he thought about what 5,000 could buy. A way out of his rat trap apartment. Maybe even a down payment on his own cab. But a man's only as good as his word. At 7 a.m., Tommy drove back to the Starlight Hotel. The lobby smelled like stale cigarettes and broken dreams. Behind the desk sat a clerk with slick back hair and a face like a weasel. "I need to find a guest," Tommy said. Guy in his 50s, expensive coat, checked in yesterday. The clerk didn't look up from his racing form. "Don't know him." Tommy slid a 5 across the counter. The clerk's hand moved like a striking snake, and the bill disappeared. "Room 412, the clerk said. "Name's Arthur Holloway." But you're wasting your time. Why's that? Cops are up there right now. Guy's dead. The world tilted beneath Tommy's feet. Dead? Murder. Someone put 3 bullets in him last night. The clerk finally looked up, his eyes sharp and mean. Why you asking about him? Tommy backed toward the door. Wrong guy. My mistake. He made it to his cab before his legs gave out. Arthur Holloway was dead. Murder. And Tommy had his money, $5,000 that now felt like a death sentence. He should go to the cops. Tell them everything. But he could already see how it would play out, the envelope full of cash, no witnesses to prove his story, and he was the last person to see Holloway alive. They'd lock him up before he finished talking. Tommy sat in his cab, rain beginning to fall again, and realized the trap had already sprung shut. Act 3, The Frame. Tommy spent the next 2 days looking over his shoulder. Every cop on a corner made his heart race. Every dark sedan that followed him too long sent ice through his veins. He kept the envelope hidden under his mattress, afraid to spend even a dime of it. On the 3rd day, they came for him. 2 detectives showed up at his apartment just after dawn. The older one was built like a brick wall, with gray at his temples and eyes that had seen every lie ever told. His partner was younger, hungry, the type who'd break your fingers just to watch you squirm. Tommy Reeves, the older one said, flashing a badge. Detective Frank Malone. This is Detective Russo. We need to talk about Arthur Holloway. Tommy's mouth went dry. Who? The man you picked up from the Starlight Hotel 3 nights ago. The man who turned up dead an hour after you dropped him off. I don't know what you're talking about. Russo stepped forward. Cab company gave us your route sheets. You logged a pickup at the Starlight at 11:47 p.m. on October 23rd. Want to try that again? There was no way out. Tommy nodded slowly. Yeah. I picked him up. Dropped him near Goose Island. He told me to wait, then he never came back. That's all I know. Malone's eyes narrowed. Did he have anything with him? A package? An envelope? No. Nothing. You sure about that, Tommy? Because Arthur Holloway was carrying $5,000 when he left his office that afternoon. Money that's now missing. And you were the last person to see him alive. Tommy felt the walls closing in. I didn't kill anybody. I'm a cab driver, for Christ's sake. Then you won't mind if we search your apartment, Russo said, already moving toward the bedroom. Tommy's blood turned to ice. The envelope was under his mattress, exactly where they'd find it. He was finished. But then Malone's hand shot out, stopping his partner. Hold on. He turned back to Tommy, studying his face. You're scared. But not the way guilty men get scared. You're scared like someone who's in over his head. Tommy met his eyes. I found the envelope in my cab after he got out. I was going to return it. Then I heard he was dead, and He swallowed hard. I panicked. Show me, Malone said. Act 4, The Truth. Tommy pulled the envelope from under his mattress and handed it to Malone. The detective counted the money, then looked at Tommy for a long moment. You're either the dumbest criminal I've ever met, Malone said, or you're telling the truth. I'm betting on door number 2. So I'm not under arrest. Not yet. But you're not out of the woods either. Malone sat down at Tommy's kitchen table. Here's what I know, Arthur Holloway was an accountant. 2 days before he died, he emptied his savings account, $5,000 cash. He told his wife he was going to Milwaukee on business, but instead he checked into the Starlight Hotel under a fake name. Then he called for a cab, your cab, and had you drive him to the warehouse district. 3 hours later, his body turned up in an alley near the river. 3 bullets, close range. Why would an accountant need $5,000 in cash? Tommy asked. That's the question. My guess? Blackmail. Or he was buying his way out of something. Malone pulled out a photograph and slid it across the table. You ever see this man? The photo showed a younger man, maybe 30, with slick back hair and cold eyes. Tommy shook his head. Never seen him. That's Vincent Moretti. Small-time racketeer, runs a numbers game out of the warehouse district. Near where you dropped Holloway. The pieces started to click together in Tommy's mind. Holloway was paying him off. That's my theory. Problem is, Moretti's got an alibi. He was playing cards at his social club all night, a dozen witnesses. But here's the thing about Moretti, he doesn't get his own hands dirty. He had someone else do it, Tommy said. Malone nodded. And whoever it was took Holloway out before the exchange could happen. Maybe it was a double cross. Maybe Moretti decided to keep the money and eliminate the problem. Either way, Holloway's dead, and the money's in your cab. Tommy leaned forward. So what do we do? Malone raised an eyebrow. You're a cab driver, kid. This is police work. You need proof, right? You said Moretti's got an alibi. But what if we could get him to admit what he did? Russo laughed. And how do you propose we do that? Tommy took a deep breath. What if I bring him the money? Act 5, the play. The plan was simple, which meant it was probably stupid. Tommy would go to Moretti's social club, tell him he found an envelope in his cab, and try to sell it back to him. Malone would be listening the whole time, courtesy of a wire taped to Tommy's chest. You don't have to do this, Malone said as they sat in an unmarked car outside the club. This is dangerous. Holloway's dead because of that money, Tommy said. Maybe if I'd gone to the cops right away, you could have protected him. But I didn't. So yeah, I have to do this. Malone studied him, then nodded. You're a good kid, Tommy. Dumb, but good. Just stick to the script. You found the money, you did some asking around, you heard Moretti might be interested. That's it. Don't get creative. Tommy walked into the club with his heart hammering against his ribs. The place smelled like cigars and cheap perfume. A handful of men played cards at corner tables, barely glancing up as he entered. At the bar sat Vincent Moretti, younger than his photograph but twice as dangerous. Help you? Moretti asked, not looking up from his drink. I'm Tommy Reeves. I drive a yellow cab. 3 nights ago, I picked up a fare who left something behind in my car. An envelope. With a lot of cash in it. Now Moretti looked at him. That's so. I did some asking around. Heard you might know who it belonged to. Moretti's eyes were flat and cold, like a shark's. What makes you think I'd know anything about that? Because the guy who lost it got dropped off near your warehouses. And now he's dead. The room went quiet. The card players stopped dealing. One of Moretti's men stood up from a corner booth. Moretti set down his drink. You wearing a wire, cab driver? Tommy's blood froze. What? No. I just want to return the money and collect a finder's fee. That's all. Take off your shirt. This wasn't part of the plan. Tommy looked around the room, seeing exit routes evaporate. Look, I don't want any trouble. Then take off your shirt. Now. Tommy's hands went to his buttons. He could feel the wire under his undershirt, could imagine Malone and Russo outside, hearing everything. If they came in now, it would be a bloodbath. His fingers fumbled with the last button. He was about to pull off his shirt when the door burst open. But it wasn't the cops. It was a woman, mid-30s, blonde, with eyes red from crying. She pointed a shaking finger at Moretti. You killed him, she screamed. You killed Arthur, and I'm going to make sure everyone knows it. Moretti stood up slowly. Mrs. Holloway. You shouldn't be here. He came to you for help. He told me everything. You were supposed to protect him from those men he'd been stealing from, but instead, you took his money and had him killed. The room exploded into motion. Moretti's men moved toward the woman. Tommy dug behind the bar. And then the real cops came through the door, Malone and Russo with a half-dozen uniforms behind them. Nobody moved. Malone shouted. Vincent Moretti, you're under arrest for the murder of Arthur Holloway. Epilogue, clean slate. It all came out in the wash. Arthur Holloway had been embezzling from his employer for years, skimming money to pay gambling debts. When his bosses got suspicious, Holloway panicked and went to Moretti for protection. But Moretti saw an easier play: take the $5,000, kill Holloway, and let the embezzlement investigation die with him. Mrs. Holloway had known about her husband's debts. When he turned up dead, she put the pieces together and decided to take justice into her own hands. Moretti went away for murder. His triggerman flipped for a lighter sentence. And Tommy Reeves got his cab back, his freedom, and a commendation from the police department. The $5,000 went to Arthur Holloway's widow. It wasn't much, given everything she'd lost, but it was something. A week later, Tommy was back behind the wheel, working the night shift. It was raining again. It was always raining in Chicago, and the city bled neon into wet pavement. At a red light on State Street, Tommy caught his own eyes in the rearview mirror. He looked older somehow. Wiser. A man who'd stared into the abyss and stepped back from the edge. His radio crackled, pick up at the Starlight Hotel. Tommy smiled and turned off his meter. Not tonight, he said to no one in particular. Not ever again. He drove past the hotel, past the warehouses and the dark alleys, and headed home. Some fares, he'd learned, weren't worth the money. And some envelopes were better left unopened.